Hello everyone and welcome to my new series that I'm going to be doing on my channel titled Villainous Reviews. I will be doing reviews for the Disney Villainous games as well as the Marvel Villainous games, but I currently do not own those, so you will not be seeing those until I get them and play all the characters. For our first review, we will be going over one of the most famous Disney villains of all time, Maleficent. So the first thing I'm going to bring up is that each villain in the games has a villain guide that tells you tips on how to win the game as your character. And they have this really cool art on it. As you see, here's Maleficent's. Hers, it just sort of goes over her. It just sort of goes over her goal and objective, the cards you need to be able to use to win, as well as some other cards that can help you. Maleficent is a fairly decent starter character, as her goal is pretty simple. So this is Maleficent's game piece. As you can see, it sort of resembles her dress and famous helmet, as well as in the middle, sort of resembling her dragon form. As you can see, she has two little green eyes there, right around here. Definitely love the piece. It's a really nice green, and yeah, she looks pretty great. So this is Maleficent's game board. Each villain has a different one. As you can see, it lists her objective, which I'll go over in a minute, and each one has 4 different locations. For Maleficent, she has the Forbidden Mountains, Briar Rose's Cottage, the Forest, and King Stephan's Castle. As you can see, each one has these little symbols, and I will go over what each of them mean. So, in the Forbidden Mountains, Maleficent can move a card, play a card, she can gain 1 power, which is the currency of this game, and it's all kept in this little cauldron. These are the power tokens that you use in-game. As well as do a fate, and I will go over the fate action here in a minute. Briar's Cottage, she's able to take 2 power tokens, move a card, play a card, or discard, which means she can discard any number of cards she wants, and then draw up to the amount back up to 4. At the Forest, she can discard again, play 2 cards, as well as gain 3 power tokens. At King Stephan's Castle, she can gain 1 power token, do a fate action, do a vanquish action, which means if there's a hero in your realm, you can use allies to vanquish them, and she can play a card. So yeah, that's what Maleficent's board is like. Maleficent's in-game objective is to start your turn with a curse at each location, which means each 4 of her locations, obviously, must have a curse played at them. Maleficent has 3 different curses. Forest of Thorns is the first one I'll be going over, with 2 power. And each curse has a special ability. Heroes must have a strength of 4 or more to be played to this location, and I'll go over the heroes in a minute. However, if a hero of strength of 4 or more is played to this location, you have to discard the curse. So, it's not perfect. Green Fire is another curse, is the second curse in her deck. Heroes cannot be played to where Green Fire is played. However, if Maleficent moves to the location, then the curse must be discarded. This is probably the worst one to play, as every location has something vital to use. The final curse in Maleficent's deck is Dreamless Sleep. Heroes at this location get -2 strength. So basically, if you play a hero to a place that has this curse, so let's say they had 5 strength, they would only have 3 strength if they were at this location. However, if you're going to defeat the heroes, you'll have to move an ally there, meaning that when an ally is played to that location, you have to get rid of this curse. As you can see, each curse has a power token above them with a number in the middle. This indicates how much the curse costs to play. So for Dreamless Sleep and Green Fire, you have to pay 3 power, and for Forest of Thorns, you only have to pay 2 power. So getting power is vital to playing cards in this game. Once your game board resembles this, with a curse at each one of the 4 locations, you win the game. However, you have to wait until the start of your next turn, meaning that even if you have 4 curses at the end of a turn, if someone were to do something that could remove a curse from your realm, you wouldn't win the game anymore. The next aspect of the game I'll be going over is the fate action system. So basically, during your turn, if a player lands on a space that has a fate action, they can do this. They can do a fate action to you, which means that they draw the top 2 cards of the fate deck, which is the white one, and choose one to play. As you can see here, I drew the Sword of Truth and Guards. So the opponent could choose to play one of those 2 cards and play it to any location. So I'm going to go with Guards, and for example, I'm going to place it at King Stefan's castle. That they cover up this action, which means that now you can no longer do the action under the Guards, which means that you can no longer gain a power or do a fate at this action at this location. Maleficent has 8 unique heroes in her fate deck, and any one of them can be played to any location. And I'll be going over each hero at the location, by how strong they are, meaning from least to greatest. With a strength of 2, Fauna is the weakest hero in Maleficent's fate deck. However, she does have a very powerful ability. When Fauna is played, you may discard Dreamless Sleep from her location. So, while she doesn't have any strength if she were to be played to a location that has Dreamless Sleep, she could discard it, meaning she's actually very threatening to your game. Luckily, she is the weakest hero to defeat, so chances are you'll get rid of her pretty quickly. I also forgot to mention that Fauna is also no threat to Forest of Thorns, as her strength is only 2, and only heroes with a strength of 4 or more can affect that one. King Hubert is our next hero with a strength of 3. And his ability may not seem too bad. When King Hubert is played, you may move 1 ally from each adjacent location to his location. But let's say you happen to have Dreamless Sleep at that location, meaning you would have to discard it because you moved allies there. So it may not seem like too bad of an ability, but it does affect you if you have that curse in play. Once again, though, he's pretty easy to defeat, so yeah. Flora is our 3rd hero, again with a strength of 3. And her ability is pretty... It's definitely not the strongest of the hero's abilities. When Flora is played, Maleficent must reveal her hand. So, for example, I'm just going to go ahead and grab 4 cards. I don't care what they are. So, if Flora was played, I'd have to put all 4 of these cards down like this, and until she was vanquished, I'd have to play with my cards like this. So, then everyone can see what you have. And it's not super big of a deal, as none of the heroes can actually discard cards from your location, but it is still a little annoying. We already saw the guards earlier, but I'll go over them, and they're actually free in her fate deck. 3 different guards in her fate deck. They're all the same, though. And when performing a vanquish action to defeat guards, at least 2 allies must be used, and I'll be going over allies next. Basically what this means is, no matter if the ally has a strength of 3 or more, you can't use a single ally to defeat them. You have to use more than 1. So, they can be a little annoying to get rid of. Especially if you were saving those allies for someone stronger. And once again, with a strength of 3, though, if you have enough allies, you can get rid of them pretty quickly. Merryweather is our first hero of strength 4, and she's also the first one to be able to be a threat to the Forest of Thorns, as she can be played to location. But her ability is also one of the most hindering in the game, as curses cannot be played to Merryweather's location, meaning as long as she's in play, you cannot win the game. And with Strength 4, she tends to take more allies to beat. So yeah, she's pretty bad to get, especially if you're close to winning the game. She can mess it up quickly. King Stefan is our next hero, once again with Strength of 4. He too is a threat to Forest of Thorns, as if he's played to that location, he can discard it. And when King Stefan is played, you may move Maleficent to any location. Once again, this doesn't seem like a huge deal, but say you want to go to a location where you can gain a lot of power quickly, they can move that location, then you'd have to move location next turn. Or they can move you where Green Fire is and get rid of that curse. Thankfully, though, I rarely play Green Fire, as it usually ends up being more of a hindrance to me, so usually he's not too big of a deal. Aurora, the main protagonist of the film, also has Strength of 4, and once again is a threat to Forest of Thorns. And when Aurora is revealed, reveal the top card of Maleficent's Fate deck. If it is a hero, play it. Otherwise, return it to the top of the deck. So basically what this means is, say I were to draw the top 2 cards for deck, and it was King Stefan, then I'd play him. But if it were, say, the Sword of Truth, I'd just put it back into the pile. So yeah, she can be pretty annoying if you get a hero, but really if you don't, she's more just a hindrance to not being able to do certain actions at your location. Prince Philip is the strongest hero in Maleficent's deck with a Strength of 5, and when Prince Philip is played, he may discard all allies from his location. Once again, he's a huge threat to Forest of Thorns, and he can also discard allies who could otherwise be used to defeat him, so he is most definitely probably one of the more hindering heroes. Overall, though, they all have their strengths and they all have their weaknesses, though. So, and you can thankfully vanquish everyone, so yeah. So I mentioned I'd be talking about the allies, and here we go. Maleficent has 4 unique allies in her deck, and I'll be going over each one in the same way as the heroes, from weakest to strongest. The weakest ally in Maleficent's deck is her Raven. But he does have a very, very good ability. Before Maleficent moves, you may move Raven to any location and perform one available action at his new location. So basically, let's say I were at the Forbidden Mountains and Raven was there too. Or anywhere, really. I could fly him to the forest and gain 3 more power at the beginning of my turn before I move. Now, the one thing is that Raven can't be used to perform fate actions, so meaning if you moved him to King Stefan's castle or the Forbidden Mountains, you couldn't use the fate. But that's no big deal, as usually you'll want to do something else. Raven, however, does cost 3 power to play, meaning he is quite costly compared to some of the other characters. I forgot to mention the other 2 types of cards in Maleficent's Fate deck. Once Upon a Dream allows you to discard a curse from a realm in Maleficent's realm that has a curse from somewhere in Maleficent's realm that has a hero. So, if, say you had one at the Forbidden Mountains, and you also happen to play Prince Philip there, you could use this to discard a curse. But if there's no heroes, it won't really do anything. Sword of Truth is just kind of a strength booster. It allows the hero to get +2 strength, although it also does cause curses to be +2 strength as well, so meaning the ones that cost 2 would be 4, and the ones that cost 3 would be 5. Anyway, back to the allies, we have the Cackling Goon, who only has a strength of 1 and only costs 1 power to play. He's definitely one of the easiest ones of Maleficent's allies to play. But he does have a pretty useful ability. Cackling Goon gets +1 strength for each hero at his location. So basically, let's say he was played to somewhere that had 2 heroes. So he would actually have 3 strength now. Also, I like the picture. It's kind of funny. But, so yeah, even though he is the weakest of Maleficent's goons, he isn't too bad still. Also, I forgot to mention that, similar to the guards, there are 3 of him in Maleficent's deck. Maleficent's next ally is the Sinister Goon, who resembles an alligator. He has 3 strength and costs 2 power to play. But once again, similar to Cackling Goon, he has, hold on. He has 3 of them in Maleficent's deck. And his ability is Sinister Goon gets +1 strength during any curses his location. So since he has free, he would get 4 if you played him to a place of curse. Not really much to say other than that. Maleficent's strongest goon is easily the Savage Goon with a strength of 4 and a cost of free power. He doesn't have any additional abilities though, so he isn't really that great. There are 3 of them, some of the other heroes in Maleficent's deck, and yeah, that's all her allies. And the allies are used to help defeat heroes. I'll just give a quick little rundown on how Vanquish actions work real quick, since this is the first video in the series. So, basically what happens is, let's say you have a Savage Goon here, and King Stefan is also here. They both have a strength of 4, which means Savage Goon can be used to defeat him. What you'd have to do is you'd have to go to King Stefan's castle, choose to do a Vanquish action, which would allow the Savage Goon to defeat King Stefan. The only problem with this is King Stefan would be discarded, but so would your Savage Goon, meaning he would have to go. Another thing to note is that your discard pile goes under your villain deck, so in this manner. And the Fate deck is the same way, just on the other side of your board. Maleficent has 3 other cards that are quite useful. Vanish allows you not to have to move on your next turn, so you can redo all the actions at the location you want to do. Dragon Form allows you to defeat a hero of strength with 3 or less, and as well as if a Fate action targets you before your next turn, you gain free power. And the Staff allows you to play a curse or effect for 1 less power, meaning that it's only if Maleficent is at this location. Overall, I would say Maleficent is a pretty fun character to play. Definitely not my favorite to play, but she's a good starter character, and she is still quite fun to play. I definitely prefer other characters, though, such as other ones we'll be getting into, but she's not a bad character to play, and if you're a starter, I'd say she's a good one to begin with. So that is my first Villainous review, and next one I'll be working on at some point here soon, so hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you liked the video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.